Welcome to But I Digress, a cocktails and conversation podcast with your hosts, Warren Smith and me, Irish Stewart. Come on in, honey.
And welcome to another podcast, another edition of But I Digress, with, of course, Irish and myself, Warren. How are you doing today, this evening? Irish, yes.
It is this evening for me. What time is it there for you? What are we? It's afternoon. Is it morning? What is it?
It's 4
I never
p.m.
know.
It's 4 p.m. at the moment.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, all right. So it is the evening for you. Yes, okay. It is approaching midnight here for me. So I think
yes. So early.
No, it's
evening,
after just after midnight. So
there you go. So it's
yes.
mid-afternoon for me. It's early, very early morning for you. So
yes,
or late at night, depending on
I am a creature of the night, as we have discussed. So for me. So are you drinking anything tonight? Because we haven't talked about the fact that sometimes we have cocktails here, even though it's pretty fucking obvious a lot of times. Also,
it is.
Hello, language. Get used to me. Okay.
Yes. I am actually I'm actually drinking a Bundaberg ginger beer. So Bundaberg is a brand of Australian ginger beer. So I'm enjoying a couple of those. So it's
okay.
It's
is that is ginger beer there an actual alcoholic beer?
Oh,
is that what it is?
Well, you have a choice. You can either have it with alcohol or not with alcohol. And of course,
okay, that's what I was curious.
Yeah.
Okay.
and
I was like, Australian beer sounds to me like it should have alcohol.
Yes. So anyone that knows me, it's a little bit like there's going to be alcohol in it. So.
It has the word beer in it. Yes, no. Root beer does too. That's why I'm confused sometimes.
Okay, yes, yes. Just Australians don't really drink root beer. It's not very popular. Root beer and sarsaparilla or sarsaparilla.
Sarsaparilla,
yeah. No one actually really drinks it here. But anyway. What about yourself?
I would like to say that I am drinking a peanut butter and jelly martini, but basically it's just vodka and I have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So, the flavors, though, they're melding together.
That's exactly
anyway, I
right.
promise I'm not dipping it. So I could get to that point, but, it's been one of those days.
Is there such a thing as a... I'm just going to ask, is there actually...
Oh, I don't know.
I was just curious to know if there was a peanut butter and jelly martini.
Probably.
Well, there's probably just about every
there
different flavour
now.
of... Well, there you go.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you just drink straight shots of vodka like I'm doing. I mean...
I'm just always curious because there's so many different... I mean, technically they're not martinis, but we call them martinis. They're just actual cocktails. But there are so many martinis out there. There's probably bartenders all over the world who are just adding God knows what and coming up with their own creations.
Look, if you're going to melt peanut butter and put it on chicken that's delicious, then I'm okay with figuring out how to use things in a different way.
Melt
especially if it involves alcohol. So.
Melting peanut butter on chicken.
I'm sorry, I'm swallowing peanut butter.
Oh. Is that
rude of me.
Is that just satay that we're referring to, or is
yes, because I am a Southern American girl with no couth. Come on, I don't have any. I'm not fancy like that. You're gonna melt some peanut butter and put it on the chicken.
I know.
We're getting some chicken satay. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
I know lots of people who simply just take to make satay. They take peanut butter, they take chili, and they take coconut milk, and they mix it together, and they've got a satay.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's delicious, actually. Okay, I'm saying.
So
sometimes things that you don't expect to be really good are peanut butter on chicken. Not something that you would expect. Very delicious. So
I once had what are they called? Like little chickens, the little ones. They're called
game hens.
Game hens, yes. I had that with chocolate sauce once.
With chocolate sauce?
The sauce was made from very dark cooking chocolate.
Okay. So it wasn't sweet. is what you're saying. Because because chocolate in and of itself is not sweet. So
that's right. So it was very dark cooking chocolate, and which I think had been reduced down with, shallots and stock, and it was really it worked really well actually.
It does not surprise me because even in like Mexican cooking, in a lot of mole sauces, they put chocolate in it, and of course, again, it's the unsweetened baking chocolate, but it adds a deep richness of flavor and color to it that you just can't top. So yeah, I like it. I love a good mole. There's so many different kinds though, but yeah, chocolate in that too. Ancient Incan or Mayan, and I'm gonna be wrong about it. It's either Incan or Mayan. People with the cacao plant drank a chocolate drink that was not sweet.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I miss all of this nice food. Since COVID, I can't eat anything nice.
No?
Well, we're now 7 months after having COVID, and I still cannot eat nice food. I have to eat really simple, bland food.
Is it too much for you now, the flavors, or is it? You're not able to eat a lot. Like, what's the issue?
Well, it's very, very interesting. If something is a bit too, I'm going to use the term runny, and I don't mean like.
So your texture. It's a texture thing.
It's a texture thing. So things have got to be very solid. So sort of like a ragu sauce or bolognese, like so many people call it, right? Okay. If I am going to have that now, it has got to be so thick, it's almost like shepherd's pie. Like, I can't actually have it like a sauce. It's got to be really, really thick. Otherwise, I can't eat it. So
you're having some issue then with just, like I said, textures then?
It's a mixture of things. I can't eat things that are too spicy. I can't handle like hot chilies and curries anymore. And of course, there's a lot of chili and curry eaten in Australia.
I know that you've enjoyed that in the past. So you feel like having COVID affect that somehow for you?
Well, I'll put it to you this way. Pre-COVID, I ate all of it, absolutely loved it and adored it. Post-COVID, I can't touch it. So
interesting.
Yeah, and there's other things too. It's like things that are too creamy, I can't handle. So that's now half French cuisine is out. I can't eat that. I'm eating such simple food now. And this is no joke. I will have sausages with potatoes and vegetables, and that's it. That's it. That's the meal.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. There are people at the moment in the world who would drool over that being a Queen's dinner sort of thing. But what I mean is that I've got options to have anything I want, and that's what I eat because I can't eat anything else. And even look, how I love seafood. Okay.
Yes.
But now all I can eat is basically the blandest, whitest fish. I cannot eat any fish with a lot of flavour in it. It's got to be really bland. So something like cod is or shark, which we call flake. I can eat that.
Right.
That's all I can eat. Or that Vietnamese fish, basa. I can eat that. Because there's not much flavour to it. There's not a huge amount of flavour to it. So...
Are you feeling like the flavors are overwhelming your palate? Is that what it is? Or
yeah, I feel
it's like an explosion. Then
yeah, it's not that I feel sick. It's just that I feel really off put by it. The best way I feel like I'm a 5-year-old child being really fussy that I'm not going to eat anything other than peanut butter sandwiches.
I see. Here we are back at peanut butter.
It's
brilliant food. No.
Well, I think I told.
No, that's really interesting, though.
I think I told you.
Do you think?
Oh no, go on.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say. I think I told you, but it was quite a while ago now, that when I was in serious recovery for COVID, when I was kind of like only working a couple of hours a day from home, and I was sleeping, for God knows 18 hours a day or something or other. The only thing I could eat was liverwurst sandwiches. That was it. I could not eat anything else.
I can't with the liverwurst, though.
I know, but the thing is that I was brought up on liverwurst, so to me it was
it's not that. It was the movie.
The movie, yes, Ingrid Bergman. It was the only thing I could eat, and I was having liverwurst on sandwiches, liverwurst on toast, liverwurst on muffins. Just that's all I ate for literally a month. I mean, it was the worst diet in the world, but it was the only thing I could actually eat. And now I literally have white fish with no flavour whatsoever, with just potatoes and vegetables. I have sausages with potatoes and vegetables. I might have some quiche. For some reason, quiche is fine. But with potatoes and vegetables. This is all I eat. I can't eat anything else. It's the most boring diet on the face of the planet. But I just can't face other. Like, you could make an amazing, red curry, or a Thai green curry, or maybe or an amazing. I mean, because the other thing too is that, like in Australia, we live on laksa, like that coconut cream noodle soup. I couldn't face that, anymore.
No, that's so odd. Do you think that you had some neurological changes from having COVID that could cause that? And I'm not saying, diminished cognitive ability or anything, but do you think?
Well, there is some arguments that some people have actually suffered brain issues.
Changes. COVID. Yeah, I know a lot of people are having long COVID issues that are very different from each other. So this is the first time I hear that this might be related. Something like this might be related.
Well,
to COVID.
I'm not the only person I know which is suffering from like a similar side effects after COVID.
Interesting.
I know that I have a friend who got COVID way back in the early days. In fact, pre-vaccination COVID. Okay, and
different variant, probably.
And so I think he got the Delta variant of COVID. And but it's hard to know exactly who got what,
right? Because who's being tested for specific variants usually.
So but he can't eat any pork products anymore.
Huh.
So
just turned them off. Huh?
He can't eat ham. He can't eat bacon. Couldn't eat a pork chop.
Okay, I'm going to draw the line at that.
Yeah, I know.
That's not cool.
Right? He cannot eat that. He also loved his like these dark beers, stouts, Guinnesses, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? He can't drink them anymore.
Okay.
And this is even now, today. So we're talking about 18 months later. What's the other thing too? Oh, this is the other thing too. He never liked sweets, as in cakes, puddings.
Right.
He never liked them, never ate them, had never any interest in them all his life. Now he's obsessed with sweet food, chocolate.
Okay, so I'm inferring some sort of weird brain chemistry change here. That's like I know that I'm not some medical professional, so please don't come at me. But the things you're saying to me suggests a change in brain chemistry. I don't know. I'm not really any different after having had it. I'm just still kind of, eating all the things all the time.
Everybody seems to have had different reactions. I know some people who got it and they literally it was like they had a cold for a couple of days. I know other people
had no symptoms at all.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
so I think it's kind of like putting on a cologne or a perfume. Like it's a thing that's made, okay, and it's out there. And I'm not saying made like in a lab. Please don't say that. But it's there, and then it hits the body, okay, and everybody's body chemistry, different things in it reacts differently to these things. So it smells one way on one person finally after a little while, and it sits a little while. It smells a little bit different on another person because of their body chemistry. And I just think maybe it affects people differently once it gets into the body because everybody's so freaking different. We're all the same, but we're all different. So all of our bodies are fighting different things in there all the time. So I do wonder if the different variants don't affect, in general, people in different ways because of something like that. I'm sure people are looking into it. People smarter than I. But yes. I think that's really interesting, though, that you had these issues. That's a shame, though, because I recently have eaten some amazing food. Did you see the pictures I posted on Instagram?
I did, and this is the thing.
You have no.
Well, no. See, looking at it, I sort of go, oh.
You wouldn't be able to eat it now.
But if I actually was physically there, all the smells and everything would hit me, and I would sort of go, no thanks.
Oh, well.
It's really...
That's how I felt when I was pregnant, actually, but that was a long, long time ago. So...
the only thing is that I have noticed that over, let's say, the last 7 months, there are some things that, let's say, 4 months ago that I couldn't eat that I can eat now. So maybe it's slowly coming back to normal, but it might take another...
It might.
Yeah, it'll take a little bit more time.
Fingers crossed, because what greater pleasure is there in life, really, out like the public pleasure, I guess, than good food?
Oh, yeah.
I would say public pleasure. Yeah. So that is the caveat there.
The only difference though that comes with it is that even though I'm eating really bland, basic food, I look forward to cooking and eating more than I did pre-COVID.
Really?
So I could, before COVID, I could make or buy whatever, something which is intricate, spicy, or lots of different flavors, or, it's something along these lines, but it was just like, there it is, whatever. Now...
Oh, so you were bored with food.
Where now, that comes off wrong. I don't mean to start. That was
food isn't going to be insulted, Warren. It's okay.
Yeah, but now I can cook a couple of sausages, boil some potatoes and some veggies, put that on a plate, and I look forward to that immensely.
Sometimes a simple meal is delicious.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
And the crazy thing is, even though I'm only kind of having 4 different meals, quite literally, that's it, right, on rotation, I'm not bored with it. Which there is no way. Which would I'd be in trouble if I was. Because but pre-COVID, I would have been so bored with eating the same thing every day.
Well, I guess things are changing for you a little bit. You know?
Yeah, I know. It's a very, very strange situation. I don't know.
I want to ask you if you have watched any new movies or TV series lately, because I watched a movie recently that I wanted to talk about.
Oh,
so yes.
The only thing. Well, I'll tell you what I've watched, and then you can tell me about what you've watched. Because I haven't really watched anything very cool lately. The only thing I've really watched is I saw the latest Jurassic Park or Jurassic World or whatever it's called now.
Oh, the most recent. Okay.
The very latest one, which kind of finishes the story, I suppose, or the story arc. So I watched that. What I've started watching Viking Valhalla season 2, because you know how I love my Vikings. So I've started watching that, and I'm about 3 episodes, I think, into season 2 of that. Oh. And the other thing I've started watching is I just decided that I was going to re-watch every single solitary episode of Roger Moore's version of The Saint.
Okay.
Which I think is 6 seasons of 22 episodes each at about 50 minutes length.
Back in the day when they had all those episodes per season, yes.
Yeah, and of course, when it started, that show, it was so the first 4 seasons are in black and white. So it's I've been really enjoying it, because I haven't watched the Roger Moore ones in a very long time.
Well, I know how much you love The Saint anyway.
Oh, yeah, I know. But the thing is, I know, so, any saint is good saint. But even Val Kilmer's Saint is still okay.
Poor Val. Yeah.
Well, no, I don't blame him. I just think...
No, I mean in general.
that film was... that film. I'll just say this, and then because I know you're dying to talk about what you've been watching.
I'm not dying about it. I'm eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Okay.
Shots of vodka. I'm fine.
But like my problem with a lot of those movies is that sometimes they're just. I don't think they're not made by or for the fans. So. So the problem with The Saint, as in Val Kilmer's version of The Saint, was that we had to get it was a prequel. You know, it was how Simon Templar became the Saint. That's the story behind that one. And I don't know, we really needed that. You know, we didn't really need to find out how he became the Saint. You know,
somebody thought that you needed to know that.
Well, but but the problem was it kind of went against all of the literature of the Saint, which of course, you know, is the origin.
And that's the problem when they do stuff like that. You know, if you're going to do something that has an established fan base, I suggest not pissing them off by not following the story. The story, as long as you stay within the story, you can have some leeway. But once you start to go outside the story, people start to get a little bit annoyed. And then they're going to talk badly about your stuff. So if you're going to do something with an established fan base, stick to the story. Have your license within it.
I know, because this is the thing. I mean, the idea that Simon Templar is the Saint in the sense that what he does, the idea that he robs from the uber-rich bad people. Like the Saint Simon Templar would never rob from you. He wouldn't rob from me. He would rob from Donald Trump, though. Like, he chooses a bad person with lots of money. And then what he does...
It's moral crime.
Yeah, yes. and then what he does, he only keeps 10% of what he takes, and 90% he gives away to charity. Right? That's the whole concept. That's why he's the Saint. Right, you know, and
robbing from the rich to give to the poor.
Yeah, and it's kind of. I mean, a lot of people have said it's kind of almost a modern interpretation of Robin Hood, which is
it is in a way.
It is. I mean, it is, to be truthful.
In a way, yes.
And but the whole idea is that so they created this movie where they had this whole backstory where he was an orphan in. I don't know where it was meant to be, China or something, growing up in a Catholic monastery, and this is how he got the concept of the saint, because he you know, and then you know, and then there's this whole idea that he's totally a criminal, and then suddenly he meets this woman, and then she turns him into being a good person, and now what he's going to do is fight crime rather than steal. And it's like, that's not the story of the saint, you know. It's like he's always a criminal. Like, he's never not a criminal. You know, he's like Breaking Bad. In a sense, he's an anti-hero to a degree because, you know, and I know that the TV series, especially like with Roger Moore and Ian Ogilvy and that sort of thing, you never see him commit any crimes. But that's because if they did that, they couldn't get it past the censors on TV. So that's different. But today... My God!
Oh yeah, you could do all the shit. You could do everything.
So I am hoping that when we see the new Saint next year, I believe 2024, when the TV series starts, I am hoping that they're going to. He's going to be like
a modern day version.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm hoping so. But anyway, that was my little talk. So, what have you been watching?
Yeah, I tweeted about it because I stayed up till 1 in the morning to watch The Banshees of Inisherin. And I love both those actors. And have you seen the movie?
I have not. Please tell me about it.
Well, I don't want to give spoilers away.
Oh, well, without spoilers, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say, like, just in general, but I thought, and this is what I was tweeting, I thought the performances were brilliant. The acting was just beyond compare, and the characters were very interesting and quirky, which I like. And there's something else I've been watching, which we'll talk about about that. But I thought the scenes themselves were written, the dialogue in them they were nearly perfectly constructed with what they were doing within the scenes and the way the actors played the scenes out. But I'll be honest with you. I don't understand the fucking point. A lot of things happened in the movie that didn't make any goddamn sense. And they used plot points that didn't make any fucking sense to move a story forward that didn't really have a point in the first place. And maybe that was the point. I don't know. But it was a brilliantly done movie, but I came out of it because it was so disjointed and confusing about why any of this was happening that you're just left at the end just going, I don't know what the fuck has happened. So I know that it's up for awards and stuff, and the performances are worthy of awards, but I don't know what the hell was going on in this movie that makes it some outstanding film other than what I mentioned. I'm not trying to tear it down or anything, but it just really didn't make any fucking sense. I just wanted to know, even from, because like I came into it, it had already started, okay, and I watched some scenes, and I was very entertained by the interactions in these scenes that I saw, and then I was like, I gotta go to bed, but I came into the bedroom, and I turned it on, and I restarted it from the beginning. So I got to see the part that I had missed when I was sitting out there, so how it introduced it and everything, and I still, like, actually, after seeing the beginning and watching the whole thing, I was confused as hell. So I just was
right.
It. But it is worth watching just for the performances alone. And if you like good dialogue and scenes that are written between two characters, that's the kind of thing you get a lot of in this film. There are some really brilliantly written scenes between the two characters and sometimes other two characters. And they did that really well. So, I mean, like I said, it's worth watching. But be prepared. And if you watch it and you are also confused, or if you think you've figured it out, please let me know.
Right.
You know, I felt like at the end of it, why did I stay up this late to watch this? Just because it wasn't even resolved at the end. Like, I don't even know. It ends, and it just, and again, I get maybe that was the point. But it was disjointed. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
I did speak with an Irish accent for hours afterward. And as I speak about it now, you know that I'm fighting not doing it essay, so I'm going to try not to. The other thing I've been watching is a show on Peacock. So it's an NBC show, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and it's called Poker Face. And it has Natasha Lyonne in it. I think it's Natasha something.
Right.
I might be wrong. Anyway, there have been 4 episodes, maybe 5 at this point, I think, and it is an incredibly interesting show. It's got some issues with some of the way the stories are laid out, in my opinion, but she is so interesting. The characters are beyond weird and quirky. Even the weird minor characters that you see in each episode that you never see again. But they always are weird and interesting and quirky. So it's actually a very entertaining show. She reminds me of kind of a female Columbo. Peter Falk.
Oh, yep. Okay.
I don't think she's imitating him at all. I'm not trying to say she's imitating him, but I can see a complete resemblance in like everything she does. Like there's these moments where she's like, but you know, just a minute. You know, and she comes back, and there's these moments where you go, that's a Peter Falk thing. That's Columbo. You know.
Okay.
And I'm still eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But it's got a ton of people. I say millions. I'm exaggerating, obviously. A ton of cameos in it from very famous people. So it's really an interesting show. It's going to annoy you a little bit for some of the things, but I'm enjoying that. And then I started also watching the show Will Trent. On Hulu, I think.
Right.
I think that's on Hulu. That is also kind of a detective show. The character's really interesting. Some it's a little bit, it's getting a little bit juvenile, and I'll be honest. Some of the writing is getting a little bit juvenile, but overall, I still like the characters in that. So
okay,
I'm way more willing to watch a show that's bad writing if the characters are interesting.
Right? Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just make fun of the writing because I'm that kind of dick. So that's why I love to watch the new Magnum, like we talked about. Just
yes, yeah.
I really enjoy making fun of the writing. On the other hand, that show La Brea is so bad, I can't even hate watch it. So I can't even make fun of that one anymore because I can't watch it.
Right.
To make fun of it. It's so bad. So it's like painful. And they've given them, I think, another season. I don't know. There's going to be a 2-hour event. Something's happening. They keep showing it all over TV. And I just want it to end. But you know what? Good for them for having their show on. I'm not bitter.
Well, you know what I did forget to tell you? You know what I did watch over Christmas? Was it over Christmas or just after Christmas? I'll call it over Christmas. Was the 2 Knives Out movies?
Okay. Yes, I have seen both of them.
Yes, and
yes.
I literally double featured them, if you like.
You did? Okay.
I watched one and then went straight into the other. And
what are your thoughts?
Personally, I loved them. I really liked them. I've spoken to some people who can them. They reckon they're terrible because they're saying they're too unrealistic and stuff like that. But I'm thinking to myself, it's a movie.
It's like a game. Yeah, seriously.
I mean, it's a movie, for God's sake. It's a. I mean, I get it when people are doing a biopic or they're doing something. I mean, we've talked about the 2 movies about Elizabeth I with
yes.
Okay. Or what I say was, the English Queen Elizabeth I.
Yeah, yes.
And
yes.
and
as opposed to
I don't know. There's probably another Elizabeth I somewhere. And I mean, other countries do have monarchies, but it is interesting as English speakers. We do just speak about the British monarchy like they're the only monarchy in the world.
We're white people, dude. What do you want?
It's kind of weird that, but it's But what I do find interesting...
You're the fucking colonizers. Okay,
yeah,
let's be honest.
But we kind of forget
I have derailed this entire
conversation.
conversation.
I know. We kind of forget that the Netherlands has a royal family, Belgium has a royal family, Denmark has a royal family. I know.
But anyway,
but what I mean is that took those were dealing with historical people and historical events, and they totally screwed it all up. Those movies, don't get me wrong, cinematography was great, the acting was great, and I thought the writing was great, but they got history so ass backwards that
you have this issue with it. But we have discussed this before. They don't give a flying about your.
I know. So
it's a movie. And honestly, I laughed at one point when somebody said to me, watching a Marvel film, the one where Captain America jumps out of an elevator and he goes flying down from a skyscraper all the way to the ground and lands on his shield and gets up. And somebody said to me, "This is so unrealistic." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" This is
Marvel.
A superhero movie.
Yes.
What?
I know. It's and that's what I sort of thought when someone was talking to me about Knives Out, and I'm sort of going, but I mean, but what were they? I think they were talking. Oh, I can't even remember which bit of it was. They were talking about, and I was but I really liked them. I thought they were good. I liked because the other thing too. And please correct me if I'm wrong, because I often am. Most of the time, is that in American cinema, apart from things like, like the Ocean's 11, 12, 13, and Ocean's 8 movies, right? There's not a lot of American movies where you've really got to think about what the hell's going on. Like, can you guess going on? Can you see that you've been misdirected and something else has
Love
really
that
happened?
Stuff, though.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons I really like these films, because it's full of it. It's full of misdirection and stuff. And I don't think there's a lot of films made like that.
No, I agree with you. I think a lot of times the misdirection that you hope for isn't there, and the stuff's right in your face. So when you get something like that in a show or a film, I actually really like that. I didn't like the second one as much as I liked the first one, but I love Janelle Monáe. Like, there's just she was just fantastic, and I love her. I liked the vibe of it. It just, I didn't like it as much as the first one, overall, and it wasn't their fault. It was just the writing. So I don't think it had the same kind of twist. So I wasn't as surprised. It was a good twist, but it wasn't what I was expecting. Yeah. So, but I just love Janelle Monáe. There's really nothing she can do, and you know how I feel about Daniel Craig.
Yes.
So
yes. Yes. Are they? Every time I kept looking at both of them, I just kept sort of saying, "Good evening, Mr. Bond." It was. I understand why characters, have got to sometimes jump out of roles earlier than a lot of people want them to, because that typecasting. I find it hard to look at him now without seeing James Bond. I find it very difficult.
I understand that. Yeah, but that Louisiana accent he had on that was, it was fun for me the first time I heard it.
Is it good? Is it good?
It was good. It was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was good. I'm not from there, so you should probably ask somebody from there, but to me it was good.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I enjoyed that.
Are they taken from books, or are they just movies that were...
I think the character might be from something like that, but I'm not sure if the stories are, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I have not looked into that very much, but
I was just curious. Yeah.
My sister and I, though, were actually talking about the fact that there's some actors you see in roles, and no matter what the role is, it's the actor. There's nothing you can do. It's like, oh, look, there's Tom Cruise playing this character. And then there's other actors that are multidimensional, and maybe we've talked about this before, probably, but one of the only and best multidimensional actors that I've ever seen in anything is Gary Oldman. Like, that man... You don't recognize half the time that it's him. You don't go, oh, look, there's Gary Oldman playing this role. It's, oh, look, there's this character, and oh, shit, that's Gary Oldman, is what, you get. So, yeah, I could see Daniel Craig is Daniel Craig, He's good at playing characters, but you're right. After seeing him as Bond, it's hard not to see him as Bond. So...
Which is interesting, because he only made, what was it, he only made 5 Bond films.
All it wasn't best Bond films, is what you're saying to me? He only made all the best
personally, I don't think there was... You don't remember, I don't think there's such a thing as a bad Bond film, so,
I don't either, to be honest.
I mean, I'm so biased on the subject, it's like...
Oh, I know.
Even Diamonds Are Forever, when Sean Connery had to glue his hair on, even that film, I still basically sort of say, yeah, it's still Bond.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess Timothy Dalton also counts. So, yeah, we'll go from there.
Well, see, I'm a big Timothy Dalton fan, actually.
I'm not against Timothy Dalton.
Well, it's
not his fault.
I know. Well, one thing, I actually reckon he's the best actor of them all. But that's I suppose that's a point for argument, isn't it? But
maybe,
but I think the thing I do like about him is that he's probably, although Daniel Craig is pretty bloody good at this as well, he's the closest to the Fleming Bond, like the Bond of the books. Timothy Dalton, like he's a guy who's interested in, sort of the finer things in life, but he knows who he is. He's still basically he's an assassin for the British government. And, where all the other Bonds, whether it be Pierce Brosnan, Roger Moore, even Sean Connery, they've never played it like that. I mean, Timothy Dalton and Daniel Craig are the only ones who come close to Ian Fleming's version of Bond. None of the others
They must be the best ones then.
So, well, yeah, I mean, yeah. So, One of the problems I'll say because I know people get sick of me going on and on about Bond. So, but I just want to say this: the thing is,
if you do that, I'm just going to continue to go.
Yeah, on. I know. The thing
those
is,
blue eyes. I'm sorry.
I saw this on a YouTube channel because I watched lots of YouTube channels about Bond, and there was a very interesting comment by one person, and it was that he was saying that the biggest problem with the Bond character is that Sean Connery was the first to play Bond, and the thing is that the people who haven't read the books, they base what Bond is like on Sean Connery, and Sean Connery is nothing like the Bond of the books. Right. So I mean, even George Lazenby, who would play the role for just one film, he's closer, to the movies. Sean Connery and Roger Moore are nothing like the Bond character. No, not really. I mean, Roger Moore goes into that movie. He's just playing Simon Templar. I mean, he literally comes out of TV playing Simon Templar, goes in to play Bond, and he just plays it the same way.
Huh. Well, because he's a one-dimensional actor, Warren. We're discussing that.
Yeah, I know.
What did he ever do that was not just that kind of character that you know of? And so that's who he was, and that's what he was good at, and that's what he did.
I think you're right. I still, I mean, I always liked Roger Moore.
You don't have to not like it just because he's a one-dimensional actor.
No,
people still like I said, I'm just going hard on Tom Cruise tonight. Like people still like him.
Tom Cruise, I never know how I feel about him because it's like I can love his movies, but I don't like the man.
That's exactly. Yeah, that's it. And then also the movies aren't that great anyway. They might, the Mission Impossible films are fun and exciting kind of to watch, but they're not great films. Okay, what was it? And then Live, Die, Repeat. I think it was not a bad film, but still just Tom Cruise over and over and over again. Top Gun, which was honestly the first movie I ever bought on VHS tape with money that I earned myself. It was the first movie that you could really buy. You could pre-order, and it was only $10. And I pre-ordered it. I was 16 years old and bought that movie because it was the first time I could ever buy a movie. And I bought Top Gun. And then recently, I went to the theater and saw Top Gun Maverick. And
you saw Maverick, yeah.
It was the same fucking movie.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's like we've got a winning formula. Let's just remake the film. I know.
Just remake the film, and they literally cast a guy, and I get the plot point behind it, but they cast a guy to play Goose's son who looked identical to him and did all the things that he did, including the music at the bar, like the whole thing. Spoilers, sorry. Anyway, don't waste your time.
I think if anyone wanted to watch it,
just the rehashing of the original movie. It's all it is. And I get tired of them doing that. And then people going, oh my God, it was so great. He should be up for an Oscar. I can't believe they didn't put him up for an Oscar. It's like, fuck you. No. Why is the movie itself up for Best Picture of the Year? Oh my God.
Yeah. I've seen people on, and once again, this is YouTube, but a lot of channels with real Air Force and Navy pilots who run YouTube channels, talking about planes and whatnot. And all of them, literally every single one of them says exactly the same thing about Top Gun. And that is, the movies are total bullshit. They're absolute rubbish. There's nothing realistic about them at all, but they're their favourite movies ever made.
Well, because it makes them feel away.
I know. It's like they fully admit it is totally unrealistic, nothing real about it at all. But they just love it. Absolutely love it. Because it's their job as pure escapism. And it's
that. I love pure escapism. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think movies like that should be up for Best Picture.
Oh, God,
that's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Especially because I am so sick of the rehashing of the same old stories over and over and over again. I know, as human beings, we have the capacity to come up with more ideas. And it just bothers me that people who do come up with these new ideas don't get any play because they're not in the same groups of people doing the same things over and over in media. And it's frustrating because the execs are all out there just trying to rehash the same old freaking stories for new generations. It's what they've done with the Star Wars stuff. It's what they're doing with, with Top Gun. It's what they do. So they either do a sequel that is literally a rehashing of the original, or they reboot it 50 times with the same characters and the same freaking story with minor changes. And they want us to go, oh my God, these are great stories. You know what? I'm tired. I write stories. I have stories that aren't like these. Let's, and I know other people do. That's what I'm saying. My stories might not be the right ones, but other people are out there with different and better stories than these. And I think as a public, we deserve to have better stories. You know,
I agree.
It annoys the shit out of me. It's so lazy. It's lazy.
Well, it's also how many movies get released every year, which are just a remake of a movie from 20 years before, 30 years before. It's like, I mean,
it's either a reboot or they're remaking it. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I there are sometimes movies that are made which. Like, I remember when The Thing came out. I think it was about the third movie, which was about, was it early thousands, 2005 or something like that. And everyone said, oh, they've remade The Thing. Well, they actually didn't. It was a prequel. So the movie starts with the discovery of the spaceship and then finishes with the Husky escaping from the Norwegian base. So literally you can watch one film and then turn on the next film and they're literally frame to frame as they start, and one finishes and one starts. So I thought, okay, that's a clever idea. I'm fully on board with that. But it's like that old joke, about how many times can you remake Beau Geste? How many times can you remake Robin Hood? It's like, it gets to
how many times can you remake Batman? I swear to God, kill me.
I know. Yeah, look.
Just enough.
I know.
Like, I've had enough.
Now, I know that I've got to be careful here because, of course, I'm excited about a new Saint series. So I need to be, so I need to be a little bit careful. But there is a point. I mean, even I would argue that if they were making a new reboot upon reboot upon reimagining of the Saint every 18 months, even I would say, come on, guys, this is ridiculous.
It's just enough, right?
Do you know? Yeah.
Enough.
So, yeah. I mean,
you can love a story, but not want it shoved down your throat. In the same way that on the radio, if you're listening to the radio, they shove the same songs down your throat, playing the same 21 songs over and over again every hour until you start to hate the songs that you loved last week. Because you just can't fucking take it anymore. So,
That's why I listen to the opera.
Well, you know what? You're right. There's never going to be a time when I am tired of listening to opera. Yeah. But if it was the same piece over again every day,
it would be the same.
I would go, okay, that's enough. I can't take this anymore. I mean, no more aria for me. Okay.
I love Tosca, but I couldn't listen to it every day. Do you know what I mean? Or watch it
over and over and over.
No, it's just you couldn't. And I have to admit, they play the radio. I don't know. I'll be a little bit careful here, but in the office where I work,
are you going to get in trouble?
No. No one knows where I work, so that's fine. But you know how every office they play radios, and it's like, oh my God, I don't know what American commercial like free-to-air radio is like on the FM band. But in Australia, and I'm talking about stations that play, modern pop music, right? So within an hour, okay, so you get the news for 5 minutes, okay, great. Then we get, I don't know, we get endless disc jockeys or announcers who all of them believe they're stand-up comedians, okay,
that's their job.
All right, so we
entertain you.
So we get terrible jokes, terrible stuff. Then of the 60 minutes, so now we've had stand-up comedy for at least 15 of those minutes. We've had the news for 5. Okay. Then we've got to get at least 20 minutes of commercials in. We're lucky if we get 5 songs every hour. And on
but
top
it's the same 5 songs.
I know. And then the problem is, and then every 5 hours they just repeat the cycle. Oh,
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same thing here. That's why nowadays it's at least you can get like internet radio where sometimes it's not as bad.
Oh, yeah.
I like to listen to the 20s and 30s music.
Things like, Spotify, Apple Music. I mean, that idea. And even if you go for the
not
free...
listen to Spotify, fuck those people.
Well,
sorry.
But even if you get
Joe
the free...
I know.
Joe Rogan. Oh,
yeah.
Can somebody please just...
Look,
I'm
sorry I brought him up. Anyway.
I'm not into cancel culture, but can someone just cancel Joe Rogan, please? I am so over his crap. I mean,
You know what? It's not cancel culture if society just deems you're an asshole and we don't want to put up with your shit anymore. That's not cancel culture. That's just you're a dick and we're finished. Okay?
I mean, I'm just...
I'm
just...
He has his rights, but we have ours too.
I'm so tired of people who have huge audience bases who talk out of their arse about really important subjects. And
they just spread vitriol and go, asking questions. No, fuck you.
I know.
Doing.
I know. I would have more respect for him if he said, "This is my opinion. I'm going to stand by it." All right. It's a commercial.
He has to walk
venture.
Everything back because it gets in trouble.
Yeah. But that argument, I'm just putting the idea out there.
And I'm just asking questions. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. You know what? You know exactly what you're doing. It's a tactic. It's the same thing used on Fox News here. That's why that whiny little bitch Tucker Carlson does it all the time. It's literally the way that it works. And then that way the people that watch it go, well, yeah, they're just asking questions. What, you can't ask questions? It's like, okay. Well, I don't want to rant. Because I'm trying not to be political all the time anymore.
I'll just say this about Tucker Carlson. Okay, if that man is not on the Kremlin's payroll, he ought to be on the Kremlin's payroll.
I think he has to be at this point. I mean, Jesus Christ.
He is. Mind you, there's a lot of people in that whole conservative MAGA movement who are pro-Russian.
That I think are probably on the Russian payroll in some way.
I know.
And I'm not saying they're getting checks, but some of them are. It's coming to them. It's coming to them through our political organizations. So
there's got to be something going on. How do that many members of the Republican Party be pro-Russia?
All of a sudden, Did you see what they've been doing? You know how for a long time you had to have a flag pin on your lapel, or you weren't a real American for the conservatives here. Oh no, they've switched now. They don't have flag pins on anymore. They have AR-15 rifle pins.
Oh, you're kidding me. Really?
No, I'm not. I'm not kidding you. George Santos had one on and somebody else. They're starting to do that now. So it's some disgusting behavior. And we thought we saw some disgusting behavior before. We're going down the fucking toilet in this country right now. So it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse.
So what's this about? Is this about their right to murder children in a school or something? I mean, what are they standing for? What does an AR-15 mean?
They don't stand for anything because they're awful human beings. They just stand for power and money and lies. That's what. And I don't know what the hell they're doing. I think again, a lot of the stuff that they do is literally just for political show and to get attention. And here we are talking about it. But if we don't talk about it, then they start doing things under wraps. Now they're already doing stuff under wraps while we talk about this other stuff. I want to know the other things, obviously, but shit like this just shows how far off the rails they've gone. It's just getting worse and worse by the day. And it's hard to wrap my head around how this country will literally, like its downfall will literally because of ignorance and stupidity. Like it just bugs the shit out of me. But here we are, we're doing our thing.
Oh, well, it's
God bless America.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had said to somebody on Twitter, I think it was actually over Christmas, and then I just realised, why the fuck am I arguing with a Russian troll, you know? And,
I'm not arguing with any of these people anymore.
And I made the comment. It was complaining about Biden and Ukraine and stuff like that.
Blah blah blah.
And I said, it's this simple, mate. Right? And then he accused me of, don't use mate. You're not an Australian. What? He goes, don't pretend.
Because he's not real. You're arguing with a
I know. But I simply said, and I said, it's this simple.
I wanted to distract you.
I said, it's this simple, mate. The Ukrainians love Biden. The Russians love Trump. That tells you everything you need to know. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. It is that simple. That tells you what you need to know. And I think everyone, sometimes when it comes to the war in Ukraine and all that sort of stuff, just remember that. The Ukrainian people love Joe Biden. The Russians love Donald Trump. The Russians hate Joe Biden. The Ukrainians hate Donald Trump. That answers every fucking question you need.
Yep, I agree with that in a lot of ways, yes.
Yeah, so, anyway. Anyway. We had Australia Day here just recently.
I saw that you had some things about that. Now, you guys are still having some issues maybe with the identity thing and having some indigenous
big
people.
Issues, yeah.
Yes.
It's
the same. Yeah.
Oh, no, go on. Sorry. No.
I was just going to say, I mean, here we're all trying to get things like Columbus Day turned into I can't say the word today, Indigenous People Day. Too many peanut butter and jelly martinis. So, but yeah, it's about time that we start, paying better attention to the histories. So go ahead, tell me more.
Well, we've got basically the estimate, the statistics that are done at the moment from just general, questionnaires and whatnot, seems to show that about 30% of the population is totally, 100% behind Australia Day. Put a flag on every building and all the rest of it. Okay. Paint your face, green and gold, and try to surf on a giant thong and all the rest of it. Which is a Australia Day tradition. They have these giant thongs. They're like 2 meters, about 6 feet long, and they try to surf on.
To me, when you say thongs, to me that's flip-flop. Panties with a strap up your ass.
I know. Flip-flop. So
that was a very funny image I just had when you said that. So I'm glad you clarified. Thank you.
So about 30% of the population. And the other interesting thing too is that immigrant Australians are very much in that 30% because they don't really understand the Indigenous issue, right? To the degree, so about 30.
They exist and have rights.
So about 30. Yes. So, right. I'll get to the point without digressing too much.
Sorry,
that's right. I can't about 30%. About 30% want the day either ended or they want to change the date. The majority want to keep the day but change the date. So that's about 30%. And the other 30% don't give a shit as long as they get the day off. So it's kind of a 30-30-30 sort of, or 33-33-33 split at the moment. The most of the councils and the state governments, they're moving down the track that we've got to change the day. So they're not having fireworks, they're not having celebrations and this sort of stuff. But then you'll get some big conservative councils or conservative state governments, they will definitely hold it. Right. So it's a really, but it's getting, this has been brewing for the last 20 years and it's got now to a point.
Steps though, right? Yeah. Of course it's never going to happen fast enough for the people who need the recognition, yes. But at least there's something happening in moving forward with it. That's good.
Oh, look, I think it will change, but I've got a feeling there's going to be another decade before it does. One of the big, one of the ideas is to change it to May 9th, rather than January 26th, because the idea is that May 9th is the date of the first sitting of the first Australian Parliament, when all the colonies came together to become a nation. So May 9 kind of makes sense. The problem with that is that no one's going to accept it because it's in the middle of winter. And everyone wants Australia Day to be in the summer, so it's going to have to be in January or February. So,
it's so weird because it's backwards from here, and every time you say that, it just makes my brain go, "Wait, what? Oh."
There was some clever wit who actually said that May 9, no, do a day early. You got to call it May 8. Why May 8, mate?
Yeah, okay, that's kind of clever.
Yeah, I know.
Let's be honest.
I know. But,
I'm going to give him that one. Yeah.
But it is what is nice though is that our new government, is now they don't fly one flag anymore. They fly all three. Because Australia has three flags. A lot of people outside Australia don't know that. We have three flags, not just one. We have a national flag, we have an Indigenous flag, and we have an Islander flag. And all three of them are meant to fly at the same height. One's not more above the other. Right. So the old government used to have just one flag. Now the new government flies all three flags. And even when they do press conferences, they stand in front of all three flags.
That's great.
So that's good. That's nice. And we're bringing up, then we're going to have a referendum later in the year called the Voice to Parliament. And that's going to be a referendum to enshrine the Aboriginal nation into the Constitution.
Wow, okay.
So that's a big deal. Also, it'll create what they call the Voice or the Voice to Parliament, which will give Indigenous Australians a permanent voice in the Australian Parliament, whether elected or not. It's a little bit divisive because the argument is, well, they can stand for Parliament, but it's not that, everyone knows it's not that bloody simple, you know.
Right.
You know, and the other thing too is that, for Christ's sake, their nation was, well, not their nation, there were kind of 100 different nations, but their nations were invaded and taken away from them. So, they kind of do deserve an unelected voice in Parliament, you know what I mean?
Agreed, I agreed with that.
And the other thing too is that those people who would permanently be in Parliament, they would still be elected, they would just be elected by Indigenous people. Right, so,
so they are elected then. So there you go.
Well, I don't know. There's still a lot of confusion about exactly what's going to happen.
So, they're like, they get extra representation or something. So that's what people are going to say because they get to vote for Parliament and this. Yeah, that's what would be going on here, which is silly. But it's you know what?
It's going to be
let them get some extra representation for a change.
It's going to be a shit fight, unfortunately, and it's going to bring out a lot of racism, unfortunately. But unfortunately, it's a change to the Constitution. We have to have a referendum to do that. They can't...
You know what? Sometimes you have to wade through the shit just to get to the other side, you know? And so, unfortunately, it's always going to bring... Anytime we try to have social change for the better of society, it's always going to bring out the dregs that are trying to keep us back all the time. So it's going to always get worse before it gets better.
Well, we have and the other thing too is that, like, for instance, the current Prime Minister, Elbow, we don't call him Anthony Albanese, we just call him Elbow, because you know he's cool as shit. He is so good. He's, in my opinion, one of the best Prime Ministers we've ever had. I mean, he is just so bloody good. He's like our Justin Trudeau, you know, he is just really good.
Good.
You know, he's progressive. He respects and understands and wants to move forward Indigenous affairs. He wants to move forward. You know, like he's a full supporter of trans. He's a full supporter of gay rights. LGBTQ, and I always get the rest of it wrong.
Plus, you can say.
Okay, plus. Okay.
Plus
you know, he's a devout supporter of the working class. He's sunshine and lollipops. He's so good. And
we're lucky then.
And he's also one of the most popular prime ministers we've ever had. Like, he's beloved. He's got something like a 67% approval rating. It's huge.
Now, is this the guy that took the place of the person that you called Scotty from marketing?
Yes, that's right.
Was he prime minister for a while then?
He was prime minister. He was prime minister for about 4 years. And he was the Conservative. Elbow was the Progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Even though our Conservatives are called Liberals, we've gone down this path before. So
yes.
So I'll just say Conservative to make it easy.
Some of our Conservatives are called Liberals too. Let's be honest.
Okay, yeah. So Scotty from marketing, or ScoMo, basically took the Conservatives into the worst electoral defeat in their political history.
Oh, what a shame for them.
I know. And guess what? The guy won't leave Parliament. He won't fucking quit. Like, he still believes that the people want him back. And he's one of the most unpopular I would say he's not the most unpopular politician. The opposition leader, in other words, the guy who runs the Conservatives now, a guy called Peter Dutton, or we'll just call him Voldemort, because if anyone from outside of Australia don't know what I'm talking about, is look up a guy called Peter Dutton, Australian politician, and so he's basically known as Voldemort or Mr. Peanut Head. And
I wonder if he looks like Rick Scott. I'm gonna look him up.
And anyway, the other nickname he has is Mr. 17%. That's where he is at the moment.
Okay.
And he wants to take power, right? He wants to take power. 17%.
I see what you're saying about Voldemort.
Oh, Voldemort, you see it? There was after the election.
It's not quite as good as Rick Scott in regards to that. So
when after the election, when he replaced Scotty from marketing, right, as the leader of the LNP, the Liberal National Party, as the Conservative, right, he took over, and one of the Labor ministers, the progressive ministers, right, went onto ABC Radio. And that's Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and he went on. She went on, and she was talking about how Peter Dutton had now become the leader, and she sort of said, "Oh, there's a lot of children who are going to have nightmares tonight when they have to watch Voldemort on the news." Right, and of course it went viral, you know, and the Conservatives were demanding that she resigned and all the rest of it for saying this. Right? And anyway, so she had to have a meeting with Elbow, where Elbow supposedly, in inverted commas, disciplined her for saying it. But I think we all know that they probably went into the office, closed the doors, and had a good laugh, you know.
Yeah. Just give me a break.
I know.
Sensitive little people.
But I won't bore anyone with Australian politics anymore. But just, anyone who wants to see a modern version of Voldemort, just look up Peter Dutton.
Well, okay, that's the Australian version of Voldemort, but if you want to see an American version, look up Senator Rick Scott.
Rick Scott.
Yes. He is very much like Voldemort, in the throes of being very excitedly angry and crazed. That's what he looks like all the time.
Oh, dearie me. Now, can we just take a quick break, if that's all right? And
we should, but, I don't know. Have we been on here a long time now?
What have we been doing? About an hour and 10 minutes, I think.
An hour and 10 minutes.
So we can wrap it up if you like.
We might wrap up, I think.
All right, okay, that's fine.
Late for me.
Yeah, that's right.
So not that I wouldn't stay talking to you, much, much longer. But I got to go to bed.
No, that's totally understandable. All right. Well, anyway, that was another edition of But I Digress. I hope you enjoyed listening to two very great friends drink and talk, even though we have, I don't know what the fuck we talk about once it's all over, but,
I don't know. It's all great.
I know.
I'm just going to tell myself that.
So anyway, thank you for tuning in, as they used to say, and we'll be back when we're back. I mean, everyone needs to remember this is just what do they call it? Irregular podcast. So it's on.
Yeah, there's nothing more irregular than me, I think.
Yes. So. All right.
It didn't come out right. No, that's not good.
I wasn't going to go down there.
Wow.
I wasn't.
All right. Well, that's enough. That's That's enough vodka for me. All right.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next time.
Bye.
Bye.